thinking again about becoming a widow and how when that happens, you have so many things, so many decisions you have to make right off the bat, and you're in this shock, this mindset of, oh my God, you're grieving, and your life has been turned upside down, and it's just so hard in the very beginning when you have so many decisions to make. You have to, what are you going to do with your loved one's body? I mean, that sounds terrible, but you have to figure that out. What are their last wishes? What do I do about if they had my husband had credit card debt that I didn't even know about, and so I had to deal with all of that. So I had to. I mean, it's just so many things that you're dealing with. Oh, how am I going to afford my house? How do I stay here? I don't know that I can afford to live here by myself. All of those things are so compelling right at the worst possible time when you're grieving, and you just want to curl up in a little ball and forget about everything. So if you're hopefully if you're going through that, you have loved ones around you or friends or other people who can help you carry that load, because I think that's one of the worst parts about losing a loved one, especially like your spouse who you've lived with every day, and you have things that you have to take care of and that are pertaining to your life, your livelihood, and what if you still have to go to work? If you're unfortunately, I wasn't working at the time. We had our own business. We worked for ourselves, so I could work around some of that. But if you have to have a job, I remember when my son died, I had to, I fortunately I wasn't working, so or I don't know how I would have dealt with it. When my sister died, I was working, and I had taken off down there to be with her before she died. So I was there with her for a day and a half. Then she died, and then I was down there for 2 weeks. She was in another state. She was in Arizona, and I I had to go back to work. My work was calling me, when are you coming back? When are you coming back? And it's like, I had to go through stuff. And I didn't even live with her, and so I just can't stress enough. If you're friends with somebody who has recently lost a loved one, please be there to support them and do whatever you can. Make those hard phone calls to the credit card companies. Make those hard phone calls to make arrangements for their loved one. There's just so many things to do, and when you're grieving, that's the worst time to have to deal with it. So that's just something that popped into my mind today. I had a comment on one of my posts about that, and about the things that they have to deal with, and it just made me want to put it out there that you can be helpful to your friends if you possibly can do it. So if you're struggling with loss, my heart goes out to you. I've been there, and I know what you're going through, and it's horrible. And just look for your friends, lean on your friends. Don't be afraid to grieve. Don't be afraid to cry. Don't be afraid to talk about them, because that's important. That was the other thing. When my son died, it was like nobody wanted to talk about it, and I needed to talk about it because that was my baby. I lost my son, and I didn't want people to forget about him. And it's really important to be able to talk, but I also didn't want to drag everybody down and be the wet blanket at the party or at the gathering. But I needed to express that. So if you can be that for somebody, be that. Anyway, that's all I have to say, and I hope you're doing okay, whoever you are and whatever you're going through. And I will talk to you later.